Let's be honest. Most of us have heard, "make your bed" more times than we can count, usually from a mom, a military dad, or a motivational speaker on YouTube. It's one of those phrases that floats around in the self-help ether, bundled with advice like, drink water, and believe in yourself. But for Admiral William H. McRaven, making your bed isn't just a parental nag or a productivity tip. It's a philosophy, a metaphor, a battle cry. In Make Your Bed, McRaven distills decades of military experience, particularly his grueling Navy SEAL training, into 10 life lessons. But don't expect a macho, chest-thumping survival manual. This book is surprisingly gentle, grounded, and even emotional. It's not about conquering others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about doing small things well so you can face big things with courage. Each chapter begins with a SEAL story. Cold water, endless push-ups, mud-slogged uniforms, instructors who are equal parts terrifying and wise. But each of these scenes leads to a simple truth, a lesson that translates surprisingly well from the battlefield to the boardroom, the classroom, or your living room couch. This is a book that doesn't scream at you to be better. It simply points to the small hinge moments where big change begins. And yes, it starts with your bed. Lesson 1. Start your day with a task completed, aka, just make the dang bed. McRaven kicks things off by talking about the power of the smallest possible victory. Making your bed. In SEAL training, making your bed wasn't optional. It had to be flawless. Sheets tight enough to bounce a quarter, pillow aligned like a sniper's scope, hospital corners sharp enough to cut emotions. It seemed ridiculous, especially after a night spent freezing in wet uniforms. But over time, McRaven realized this tiny act of discipline set the tone for the whole day. Making your bed is about structure, yes, but it's also about self-respect. It's the first win of the day, proof that you're capable of order even when life feels chaotic. And if the rest of your day goes to hell, which it sometimes will, at least you'll come home to something neat and completed. It's a psychological anchor. In a world that celebrates hustle and overlooks humility, making your bed might seem quaint. But McRaven argues it's the foundation of excellence. Success, after all, is not built on grand gestures. It's built on thousands of tiny, invisible acts of consistency. Lesson 2. You can't go it alone. If there's one thing the SEALs will beat into you, figuratively and sometimes literally, it's the necessity of teamwork. In one chapter, McRaven shares the story of the circus, a dreaded extra training session given to underperformers. If you failed a physical test, you got 2 extra hours of calisthenics at the end of an already punishing day. But here's the twist. The men who suffered most together grew stronger together. The circus didn't just build muscle, it built camaraderie. And in the world of SEALs, your life literally depends on your team. The broader lesson? None of us succeed alone. We need each other. Not just in the obvious ways like collaborative projects at work or support from friends, but in the daily grind of showing up. We need people to challenge us, to carry us when we're weak, and to remind us that we're not invincible. McRaven encourages readers to seek out strong swim buddies, his term for reliable partners who will go the distance with you. And equally important, be a swim buddy to someone else. Whether in marriage, mentorship, or community, real strength is shared. Lesson 3. Only the size of your heart matters. One of the most powerful images in the book is that of a wiry, undersized cadet nicknamed Sugar Cookie, who outperformed bigger, bulkier guys simply through grit. SEAL training isn't about body type, it's about heart. You can have the muscles of a Marvel superhero, but if your spirit folds under pressure, none of that matters. This lesson speaks volumes beyond the military. In a society obsessed with appearances, how we look, what we own, how polished our social media feed is, McRaven reminds us that heart still matters most. Determination, resilience, compassion, and courage aren't flashy traits, but they're what carry you through life's muddiest moments. The world will try to measure you by things that don't matter: height, weight, income, likes. But those are the wrong metrics. The real measure is what you do when the surf gets rough, when the winds shift, when everyone else is ready to quit. Lesson 4. Get over being a sugar cookie, aka, life isn't fair. Push through anyway. The term sugar cookie refers to a dreaded punishment in SEAL training where cadets have to jump in the ocean fully clothed, roll in sand until they resemble human churros, and then go about their day wet, gritty, and miserable. The worst part? You could be assigned a sugar cookie for absolutely no reason at all. Your uniform wasn't folded right, your boots had a scuff, or the instructor just didn't like your face that day. McRaven's point? Life isn't fair. You can do everything right and still get knocked down. The trick isn't to avoid unfairness. It's to endure it with grit and grace. This lesson stings a bit. We want life to reward our effort to be just, but it often isn't. The sugar cookie is inevitable. What matters is what you do afterward. Will you mope, or will you march on, sandy and soggy, but unbroken? McRaven's advice is simple. Get over it. Don't waste energy on bitterness. The world is hard enough. Don't make it harder by playing the victim. Lesson 5. Failure can make you stronger. Another SEAL training ritual of doom is the drown-proofing test. Picture your feet and hands bound, and then being dropped in a pool. Your job? Survive. Sounds fun, right? Some cadets failed. McRaven did too. But he learned that failure, while painful, was one of the best teachers. It humbled him, sharpened him, toughened him. In our Instagram-filtered world, failure feels shameful. We hide it, we spin it, we pretend it didn't happen. But McRaven insists that failure is not the end. It's often the beginning. Every setback is a chance to learn, pivot, and try again with more wisdom. Of course, that doesn't mean failure feels good. It sucks. But handled right, it builds resilience. And resilience, McRaven argues, is more valuable than talent. It's the muscle that will carry you through life's stormiest seas. Lesson 6. Dare greatly. One of the more dramatic moments in the book comes when McRaven recalls a particularly terrifying underwater mission. The visibility was near zero. Sharks were possibly nearby, but the mission had to be completed. Fear wasn't optional. It was inevitable. The lesson? If you want to achieve anything meaningful, you'll have to take risks. You'll have to dare greatly. Playing it safe never changed the world. It rarely even changes your own life. McRaven doesn't glamorize risk. He acknowledges the fear, but he also reminds us that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Whether it's starting a business, falling in love, speaking up, or swimming with literal sharks, bravery is a choice, and it's one we must make daily. Lesson 7. Stand up to the bullies. Every SEAL class has its own bully, a particularly cruel instructor who thrives on fear and humiliation. For McRaven, these bullies weren't just part of training. They were a metaphor, because bullies exist everywhere. On playgrounds, in offices, in politics, even inside our own heads. His message is clear. Bullies feed on weakness. They grow stronger when you shrink. But when you stand tall, when you face them with defiance, not aggression but calm courage, you take away their power. Standing up to bullies doesn't always mean confrontation. Sometimes it means outlasting them. Sometimes it means setting boundaries. Sometimes it means calling in reinforcements. But it always means refusing to be diminished. This is more than a military lesson. It's a moral one. The world will always have people who try to make themselves big by making others small. Our job is to resist with strength, dignity, and solidarity. Lesson 8. Rise to the occasion. In one unforgettable moment, McRaven describes a SEAL mission that nearly went sideways. Chaos erupted. Plans fell apart. But his team didn't panic. They adapted. They rose. This is the essence of leadership, not controlling everything, but staying steady when everything goes sideways. Life rarely unfolds according to plan. McRaven argues that the people who thrive are those who can improvise under pressure. Rising to the occasion doesn't mean being fearless. It means being prepared, practicing discipline so that when the moment comes, you can meet it head-on. Whether you're leading a team, raising a kid, or just trying to survive Monday, you will have moments that test you. Be ready. Lesson 9. Give people hope. One of the most poignant chapters centers on a mission in Iraq. Amid the horror and destruction, McRaven saw that the thing people craved most wasn't safety or even food. It was hope. They needed to believe that something better was possible. As a leader, McRaven learned that hope is the most powerful currency. When you give people hope, you give them the will to keep going. This applies to every sphere of life. As parents, teachers, managers, or friends, we all have the chance to be hope givers. Not by sugarcoating reality, but by pointing to what's still possible. When we tell someone, "You're not alone," or "I believe in you," we're doing the most radical kind of work. We're resisting despair. Lesson 10. Never, ever quit. The final lesson is as Navy SEAL as it gets. Don't quit. McRaven recalls the infamous ringing of the bell, the moment when a SEAL candidate decides they've had enough. No more freezing surf, no more shouting, no more punishment. Just walk up, ring the brass bell, and it's over. He watched many ring it. He thought about ringing it himself, but he didn't. This chapter isn't about toxic toughness or ignoring your limits. It's about perseverance. The kind that says, "I don't know how I'll make it, but I'll take the next step anyway." McRaven reminds us that we're all closer to the finish line than we think. The key is not giving up when it gets hard, because it will get hard. But if you keep going step by step, day by day, you'll surprise yourself. And eventually, the storm passes, the tide turns, and you're still standing. Final thoughts. The world is a mess. Make your bed anyway. McRaven ends Make Your Bed with a simple truth. The world is hard. Life isn't fair. People suffer. Systems fail. Hearts break. But in the face of all that, we have choices. We can give up or we can show up. We can start with something small, something tangible, like making your bed. It won't fix the world, but it might fix your posture, your mood, your momentum, and that small act, done faithfully, can grow into courage, into compassion, into leadership, into change. Because if you want to change the world, you don't need to start with a revolution. You just need to start.